restaurants on your accountability wall, one had its license suspended by TABC and one still open. Is that frustrating for you? Do you think Florida should close or scale back?
TABC rules, and I think in both cases, in order, if you are a club or a bar and you receive 51% of your proceeds, revenues from alcohol sales, you are supposed to be closed, period, bottom line. And I think TABC is reviewing those. It shouldn't take long to determine whether or not they should be open or closed. And if they are subject to those rules established by the state, by TABC, both of them should be closed. If they're still open, if one of them is still open, then yes, that would be frustrating.
Kate is asking, can you tell us how many places you have inspected this week and if you actually wrote any tickets? People see all sorts of video on social media of overcrowded bars, restaurants, and yet they are open daily after day. What can be done if neither the fire marshal or the TABC seem willing to enforce this?
Per day, every 24 hours, we're responding to about 70 complaints for businesses across the city that are in perceived violation of the governor's order. As the mayor mentioned, anybody that has a red TABC tag, the 51% tag, the governor's order requires them to be closed. Those are referred immediately to TABC. The other ones, the blue tag, those that do not have 51% of their sales or their revenue from alcohol, operate as a restaurant with liquor. In the past, TABC was not yanking those permits or shelving those permits, right, suspending them. That has changed over the last week. The other thing that has changed is a lot of times the businesses that are open, what you see on the outside is the patio area that has that's where people congregate. Inside there may be in compliance with the occupancy, but there is no occupancy for the outdoors. Okay, so people are congregating on the outside, and that is now being regulated by our fire marshals, because there is a 10 person group that no more than 10 people per group, right? And then social distancing. The agreement that we have now with TABC is that those that are not in compliance, because that is also in the governor's order, will be referred to TABC, and even the blue tags now are liable to be suspended for lack of compliance with the governor's order. That has changed over the last week in conversations with TABC. And again, let me just stress that the majority of the businesses are voluntarily compliant. When we show up and provide assistance, they assist us with getting in compliance. Those that do not will be referred by the fire marshal's office to TABC.
Businesses, establishments, restaurants, clubs who are publicly being defiant and who are ignoring the occupancy limits, the order to wear the requirement to wear masks, to engage in social distancing, they are the ones that will force this stay-home order. Because if people don't recognize the fact that this virus is running rampant in our community, that more and more people are getting infected, more people are showing up in the hospitals, more people are ending up in ICUs, and more people are dying. If people will not assume responsibility, recognizing everything that we've been saying on a daily basis, and continue to congregate in large numbers, gatherings, no social distancing, no mask, then they are the ones who are going to be forcing a stay-home order. Okay, I've already called for a 2-week stay-home order to reset. I've already called for that. And one of the reasons is because we want people to wear masks. We want maximum compliance. But if people are going to ignore, if they're going to, so that it will become very clear, if we don't turn these numbers around and our healthcare delivery system becomes overwhelmed, it's going to be at some point unavoidable not to reset and impose a stay-home order.
I'll ask a question at the beginning of your presentation. how can I or how can people do reports if they see large gatherings? Si lo puedes-
No estén teniendo la distancia física requerida. O si quieren dar una queja, que llamen al 311. Esa es la forma exacta para poder poner una queja a los negocios que no están ejecutando la orden del gobernador, ¿sí? Nosotros no tenemos bastantes personal para estar patrullando, pero sí respondemos a quejas. De lo que va de esta operación, hemos hecho más de 9,000 llamadas, respuestas a quejas, y vamos a continuar eso. Y lo que pedimos al público es, primeramente, que si van a un negocio donde haya muchas personas, que no haya distancia física, que la piensen bien antes de entrar, porque este virus es muy contagioso. Pero si quieren hacer una queja, el 311 es la forma adecuada.
Mayor was telling earlier that to avoid large gatherings like in homes, barbecues, pool parties, it's illegal to have one, or can somebody report it? Like if you could see a bunch of cars in the street on that certain house that they're having a big party there.
Que este virus es muy contagioso, ¿sí? Que no se estén en grupos de más de 10, y si van a estar en grupos juntos, que mantengan una distancia física de 6 pies. Los negocios, eso sí, nosotros tenemos orden para poder asistir. En las casas privadas, entonces es una cosa diferente, pero el virus no le importa si estás en un negocio afuera o en tu casa. La recomendación es que mantengan la distancia física, que mantengan el higiene apropiado y que usen las máscaras.
Gracias. It says, does the city of Houston include antigen test results in its daily positive reports, or does it only report PCR results and it pertains to COVID-19? Question refers to news this week that the state removed 3,600 plus cases from Bedford County totals because state is not recognizing antigen test in its total of positive cases.
Tests. Sometime back, they removed antibody tests, not antigen tests. So there's confusion here. There's PCR tests, and there's antigen tests. That's the new one that just came out, which is the oral swab, and that's highly reliable. And then there's antibody tests. The antibody tests don't test for active infection. They test for an old infection. Depending which way you do it, they may not be very accurate. So the state took away the antibody tests. So my understanding is that we are using the PCR and the antigen tests. I will go back with our folks to confirm that we are including the antigen tests. My fear in your question is they've confused antigen and antibody.
Okay, thank you, Telemundo. I'm going to make it in English. Maybe you can respond in English and also in Spanish if you like. Okay, the question is, Mary Langton made comments in regards to the shortage of firefighters, claiming the shortage is due to firefighters leaving for better jobs and not for COVID-19 pandemic. What can you tell us about this?
The union's comments and politics. What we know now is that we have the 167, almost 170 firefighters that are in quarantine due to this coronavirus. We're dealing with this pandemic right now, and we're managing the best we can with the shortage of firefighters that are sidelined primarily because of coronavirus. So what I want to let the community know is, and we made this clear from the beginning, we're going to prioritize our ambulances. Almost 90% of our calls are medical. We're going to prioritize staffing of our ambulances. We're going to prioritize staffing of our fire trucks. No fire station is closed, and no fire station is going to remain without protection of a fire unit. Okay? And that's where we're at right now. There is no quick fix to these staffing issues. We were approved 280 firefighters to be hired this fiscal year. That's 4 training academy classes. And we're in the process of recruiting and training those firefighters. That's going to take some time. In the meantime, we're going to manage with the resources that we have now. I appreciate the hard work that the firefighters are doing right now and working double, sometimes triple shifts in very austere conditions. And so we have to recognize that. It's not an issue of ignoring the issue. We have requested the training academy classes. Mayor Turner has approved the request for personnel. He's also approved resources, funding, to bring in people that we need to staff our units. So it's not a matter of funding, it's a matter of having available people. And when you sideline almost 200 firefighters because of quarantine, and you don't have available for staffing, that's going to put a strain on any fire department.